Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with me. How are y'all doing? I just got out of The Green Knight, a retelling of Sir Gawain in The Green Knight. And this story has a special place in my heart. Over 10 years ago, fresh out of college, I tried to get into a mentoring program and failed. I tried to get into a mentoring program for concept art, where you take a short story and you develop all the associated concept stuff for it. And mostly I just found out that I really like old stories and I like exploring art, and I wasn't good enough to make it in Hollywood or to get a art career in Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or something like that. And I'm glad they didn't accept me, but I did some fun art from that time, and maybe I'm showing it right now. And yeah, so it always kind of haunted me, and I was excited to see this movie when I saw the trailer about 6 or 8 months ago. I was pretty pumped, pretty jazzed, because it's an interesting tale. It's a good story. It's a coming of age tale. It's about manhood and masculinity and honor and failure in light of that honor. So that's the written story as we have it. This movie is like that too, but it's got some twists. It's I like a good story that honestly I like a movie that is aware that it's a movie and is appreciating you for buying into the conceit that it's a movie. And here's what I mean. Like, I'm not a big fan of Disney, Marvel type films and stuff like this, because they're usually not appreciating you going along for the ride of sitting in a dark theater for 2 hours. It's not you're supposed to be playing a game with the creators where you're going to suspend your disbelief, and they're going to do some weird, wild, very original storytelling to enrapture you, and hopefully you come away having seen yourself and others a little bit better after the end of this fiction, this lie that tells the truth. That's storytelling. I want them to lie to me, and we're going to agree on that, for 2 hours, and they're going to give me a lie that helps me understand something true about myself. Sorry, that beeping was stupid. Cars talk to you all the time, don't they, nowadays? And so this movie does that. This movie is definitely kind of that art house appeal. I looked up the director before going in, and he's done nothing I've ever heard of. He's kind of the Cannes Film Festival type, and it's fun that he took this on, and he lets you know from the beginning, from the outset, that this is a retelling. He does so pretty explicitly, and I mean literally. And he pastes, it says retelling across the top. And there's something nice to that. There's something fresh to that when you're brought into the story right at the beginning, and you can tell that they're not trying to, there's nothing so conceited as them trying to let you know that, I don't know, help you be so immersed in this world of, 14th century, Saxon, Franco-Saxon chivalry, that you've lost yourself, and you can't, you don't know where you are anymore, because you're just immersed in the story. I don't really think, I don't know why. I think that's something to do with our sense of displace, I guess, in modern culture, modern Western society, where we have unease with our own reality, and we think that the highest form of storytelling is stories that take you out of your reality. And the best stories do that in a way, but that's not their goal. I think that's an incidental effort. I think that's a kind of a side quest in the main quest, and this is what this Green Knight story does. Is man, how to say it? I'm kind of blinking. There's some really weird moments in this film, and I do really appreciate that. But what they do is they let you know first that the world you're walking into is as alien to yourself. Jeez, sorry about that. Dodge Charger right in front of me. Yeah, he's impressed. He's impressed. Hey, buddy, your car's like 350 horsepower. All right, settle down, simmer down. Yeah, the movie, in order to make you have the sensation of otherness, which is what the story itself, like just a, I've kind of touched on it thematically a bit, just in a light sense of the plot, because it's fun for you to investigate it yourself, and also it's fun, particularly to see how this story diverges in some interesting ways. And I think things are coming to me as I'm thinking about it. So let me just say, so there's a moment. This isn't I might say a couple spoiler things at the end, and I'll let you know. Normally, I don't care about informing people that there's spoilers or not spoilers. I think that's kind of this weird hyper anxiety about immersiveness that we've come up with in the last 10 to 20 years, where we've had movies for 100 years, but no one talked about warning people about spoilers until like a decade ago. But there's a point in the story where there's a female. She's in the written account too. She's in this movie, and she talks about how she saw some. Gosh, there's so many stupid sounds that come out of your car nowadays. Keep hitting buttons to turn them off. She says that she's read a lot of stories. She's written some, and occasionally she copies a story, and then if she sees room for improvement, she makes those improvements. I think that's in a tried and true tradition to medieval storytelling, where you've got a lot of for those of you who are interested in Arthurian stories, of which Gawain is in that corpus. King Arthur's been told many times authentically from medieval authors, and several of the stories that you know and love have been told multiple times, and they've been and written down by multiple authors from that period, and all of them are different and distinct in really interesting ways. And that's to be respectful of the material from which you're lifting. If you're going to tell a Sir Gawain story, you need to do the same thing. I think a wooden retelling of a single Arthurian story without creative investment on the part of the storytellers wouldn't be terribly medieval. That's another kind of this like canonization interest. It's a pretty modern thing. Setting things in stone is pretty modern. They used to set things a lot more. It was different. It would look loose to us. So but the nice thing is he lets you know beginning to end. I think if you even watch the trailer, You can tell that you're kind of going in a dream world in some ways. You can tell that it has something of a theatrical feel, like in the sense of it feels like a theater or a stage play, where your imagination is kind of filling in some gaps. So there's not a ton of special effects. There's not a ton of scene dressing. The clothing is inspired by Western medieval clothing, but it's not rigorously attentive to to historical details. And actually it kind of starts to drift. In a way, I think it starts to lose itself from its medieval moorings the farther you get in, which works with the story because he's going farther and farther into this unknown, to the Green Knight's world, right? The Green Knight being a fairy, the Green Knight being a like an elf-kin in a way. He's a symbol of the old world, the pre written world, the pre known world, pre-Christian world in particular. And he also, I think he represents the challenge, the obstacle from through which a boy must travel before he becomes a man. And in the original story, Gawain does fail a bit, and in this story he fails, but in different ways. I kind of memed it. This isn't really a spoiler, but I did kind of say on Twitter that three furries steal all his stuff, and then Sir Gawain becomes Christian. Hopefully that gets you as interested as any trailer would, because that's only as much info as you might find in any particular trailer. That doesn't give the whole thing away, but it's pretty mind-blowing. He doesn't turn into Christian the way you think. And the three furries, it's not as straightforward as that, obviously. But yeah, I kind of like the way that this retelling improves on the medieval tale, on the story as the Gawain poet, the anonymous man who penned this tale. I think it fits for the medieval story in a way where we kind of like ho-hum and chummily wink at kind of the sexual tension between Gawain and some of the women that he meets on his story, and which has a lot to do with chivalry and like sexual withdrawal in a way. Like this isn't like some sort of weird. I'm not trying to psychoanalyze. Like that's there's a lot at play, and they were aware of it and they discussed it then, and that's what a lot of these stories are about. These medieval stories with chivalry and fealty to one's king, as well as fealty to one's queen, and the tempting forces around that sort of intimate relationship of loyalty and dedication. And so they play with that in the original story, and so they play with it here. I think it's important to thematically be in dialogue with those same themes if you're going to retell a story, but that dialogue does need to be it's not lecturing the past, but it is in dialogue with the past. That's the way you do it well, is you for like it or worse, we're this is 2021, and that only mean I would say this if it was 1971 or 1821. Like we are standing in a particular place and time from a particular culture. I wouldn't say it's progressed. I would just say it's different. It's distinct from the author's period, and there's a bridge to be built between that dialogue of what is manhood, what is crossing over into manhood, what does failure look like, and infidelity look like, disloyalty to one's king, in brethren, right, or succumbing to the wiles of a woman. What does that look like, and how does that affect one's honor? There's a slightly different way that is a little pastiche in the original tale, and it's there. It is. I don't know how many people would find it's a little. Maybe it'd be funny if we were all drinking flagons of ale and tearing off bits of elk flesh from a spit in 1437 in Wales or something. But the journey is the most interesting part, and the ending is a little. I find it alien, frankly, and it honestly is. And so today's retelling, it needs to be in respectful dialogue with that, I guess, is all I'm trying to say. And that's what you get with this. You get some very strange moments, which give you the kind of it sets it up early and often what the sort of imaginative the latitude through which this story is traveling, much wider than a rigid historical retelling would be. It's obviously because it's about a fairy knight with who gets his head chopped off and then expects 1 year later to be able to return that chop in kind to the one who chopped his head, to Gawain. So I think that's all. Like, normally I would spoil a movie. I don't think I want to spoil this because a lot of it is it's in the viewing more than the telling, and I respect the writer. I didn't actually see if the writer and the director are the same person. I'll have to figure that one out. But I respect the creative vision to actually make a change at the end that actually, I think, respects the way I understand masculinity, ancient and today. The way I think of masculinity achieved and conquered, what that looks like. It looks that sort of there's an interplay, there's some extra threads and fabrics woven into the story, is all I'll say, that actually kind of add a bit more heft, which is kind of what you do when it comes to movies, where you're trying to be artful. But this kind of makes a little bit more sense of masculinity. But you're going to be thrown for a loop as it kind of slaps you around with that. You're going to see some really challenging imagery, frankly. And it's a beautiful. It's I wouldn't say it's visionary. There's some. But I think the heart is that, like, you can tell, and honestly, you can tell that everyone kind of believes in what they're doing, particularly the main actor guy, whose name I didn't look up either. Isn't that terrible? I'm supposed to be name dropping. That's what makes this thing sound authoritative. Oh, one last thing. It always thought it was kind of striking. In the original story, he gets Mother Mary painted on the inside of his shield, and I always thought that was kind of interesting. You always think of shields being painted on the outside with some sort of protecting image, or a dangerous image, or some sort of you're putting your best foot forward, right, with what's on the outside of your shield. He gets he gets the Mother of God image, the the Roman Catholic icon. He gets her painted on the inside of his shield, so that he always had her to look at as he had a shield drawn with sword, right? So, and that's actually that ties in, and I'm realizing this in this retelling that has a lot to do with, obviously, achieving, finding one's adult masculinity has a lot to do with your relationship with your mother, as much as with your father, but particularly with your mother. There's something of a severing that has to happen between your relationship with your mother and yourself to find that masculinity on your own. That umbilical cord has to be cut in a way, and that is very that is an extremely strong message throughout this story. It's a little you'd be hard pressed to tell that. You'd have to win at least bronze in Summer Olympics to pull off the sort of gymnastic stunts to find that in the original tale. But they're doing it here, and that's fun because I think they land it rather well. That's kind of the message of the. So if you want to see a man have to figure out his relationship with women, particularly with his mom, and work through that, ultimately with a hopeful message, I guess, to men in particular on what that looks like in its failures and successes. There's some of that in the story, in the original story. I highly recommend reading it. In particular, it's fun to really see it get retold here. So yeah, highly recommend. I'd say an 8 if you like artsy stories. 8 out of 10. Probably higher than that. If you particularly like this sort of theme, you could go as high as a 9. Like, it'd be nice to see this win some awards, though I hate for any award, any well-told film to get an Oscar, to be sullied, have his reputation dragged through the mud by winning Academy Awards. But yeah, this is a nice one. You're just gonna see some real. There's gonna be a couple moments where you might roll your eyes, and there's some squishy moments, but maybe that's what masculine frailty looks like when you're on your quest to really find what it is to be a man, to be an adult, and your relationship to others along that quest is going to be ugly, and you're not going to live up to the ideals that set you off on that quest. That's what Gawain in the original story has to deal with, and that's what this retelling deals with. So yeah, thematically just on point. Yeah, highly recommend it. It's a weird one though, so buckle up. It's not it's not the what's the Suicide Squad? Is that what it is? It's got a "the" now. Come on, guys. Come on. Go watch The Green Knight. It's better. Sorry. All right. Thanks. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, sub, unsub. Talk to y'all later. Bye.